Segment 3.5 Character Analysis.
Who do you think, what character in season one and season two do you think has grown the most?
In season one, I would say that it was definitely Chuck, um, followed by Sarah, and in the second season, I think it's almost a bit of an even race between Chuck and Sarah. Chuck had a lot more growing up to do because he really had fallen into a hole at the beginning of the series. Um, whereas and his journey has been taking his internal issues and externalizing. Whereas with Sarah, it's her growth is much more internal as she tries to deal with her professional versus her emotional priorities in her life. So, and at the core of it, both of them are dealing with trust issues. So they're at two ends of the spectrum in a way. Chuck has to learn control, whereas Sarah has to learn to let loose of her the hold she's had on her emotions her whole life because she's been burnt by her her relationship with her dad
And Bryce.
and Bryce. So trust is a hard issue for her to deal with. And just the nature of their relationship as an asset and a handler. And as we saw over the course of two seasons, a lot of times when we were seeing just, Sarah, why don't you say something to Chuck? We saw that because he was under constant surveillance, that she really couldn't say much of anything. So that explained a lot of why she seemed so cold. And in the first season, she really did seem cold to I think a lot of us. It wasn't really until the Cougar episode when we started to get her backstory. But it's important to remember that surveillance issue because I know we were trading posts today, and somebody says, well, if she really wanted to tell him what she was feeling, why didn't they just go to somewhere else where there wasn't surveillance? And the problem was, even if they went to those places, Sarah still would not have opened up to Chuck because she was not at a point in her character growth where she was ready to do that.
Right.
So I always shake my head quite a bit when people say, well, why aren't they together? Why aren't they together? Because if they get together the way they were in the first season and at the beginning of the second season, it would have crashed and burned very quickly because they both had unrealistic expectations and views of each other. And it's only through everything that they've gone through the second season, whether we liked it or hate it, the Jill arc, the MI6 arc, Sarah being threatened to be reassigned, it's only through all those steps that the characters have gotten to the point where they were comfortable in the ring to finally express their feelings. And sometimes the execution wasn't always the greatest. Like I think we're all in accord that the Jill arc didn't end with the proper closure and resolution, but the plan was definitely there. You could see the arc of the journey for the characters over the season.
But I think Sarah has grown the most. She definitely has the most room to grow, I think, emotionally anyway. But Ring sort of puts a damper on that because she sort of regressed in that episode. But if you look at where she was the first few episodes in season one, especially in terms of her relationship with Chuck, also with Casey, and just her general, knowledge about herself, she's in a very different place at the end of season two. I think she understands who she is more. She understands Chuck, I think, better than anybody at this point in terms of knowing what he's going to do.
Who's your favorite character?
Well, my favorite is, not surprisingly, Chuck, because I'm always been a lifelong supporter of the underdog, and Chuck definitely fits that bill in all respects. He's hardest on himself, but I just admire his unwillingness to take the easy road. He will do the right thing regardless of the personal price. And, when he just makes other people around him realize, why they're doing what they're doing, I think, especially in the cases of Casey and Sarah, I think they found themselves again by being with him.
And my favorite character is Wet Chuck. Chuck when he's wet. In the rain, in the pool, in the shower, any of those.